Hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Skye and today I'm going to be sharing with you guys all of the products that I've hit pan on. I am by no means a project panner by any stretch of the imagination. I've tried it many times and it's just not for me. It's just not for me, but I like to organically hit pan on things and use things up, and I like to update y'all with things that I have just hit pan on because I don't know about y'all, but I absolutely love looking at panning content, like both on Instagram and YouTube. Even though I'm not much of a project panner myself, I eat up that content. I love it so much. Now I mostly have complexion products to talk about, but I do have some eyeshadows as well. So let's start off with complexion, and let's start off with probably the most exciting one, and it is my Kaleidos Charisma Contour palette. This is in the shade Warm and Medium. I know that they have re-released these in more shades, and I'm really glad that they have because the formula of these are fantastic, and y'all aren't ready for this. Look at that. Look at that! I have essentially used up the entire thing. There's a tiny bit of product right around the edges, as you can see, but it's really hard to get hold of. I know I could probably like repan this and put it in the center, but I feel like there's only one use left of it, and I'm quite pleased with how this looks now, and I don't really have the energy to repan it. If there was more product around the edges, then yes, I absolutely would like repan it, repress it, but as it stands, this is done. I've literally been holding on to this, waiting to show you guys before I declutter it, because I'm not going to use the other two shades. I mean, I never use this shade, and I'm not going to keep this palette just for an under eye setting powder. I would be interested in trying out their reformulation of these at some point, but as it stands, I've finished this one up. That was so dramatic. That hurt my ears. Now the other bronzer in my collection. I only own two bronzers. Well, now I only own one because I finished up the other one. And this one I recently hit pan on, and it's the Nabla Skin Bronzing in the shade Ambra. This is basically a dupe of the Becca Barley Sands bronzer, which was my all-time favourite for years and years. You can see I've hit pan in the centre right there, and you can see the waffle pan coming through. It is so satisfying, like, panning these kind of like baked gelée waffle like pan products, because the pan is just so interesting. I love the pan design underneath. Everything from this Nabla like skin glazing slash skin bronzing line has a really beautiful imprint on it. I do have one of the blushes, and as you can see, I've used this so much that the imprint's basically completely gone. So yeah. As much as I love looking at pristine, beautiful makeup, there's something about really used makeup that just gets my goblin heart going, and I absolutely love this bronzer so much. It is the perfect, like, satiny bronzer. It's not too shimmery and it's not completely flat matte. It is perfect. The undertone is like a nice, like, ochre undertone, which suits my olive skin tone very nicely. I love this bronzer very much. Right, a couple of blushes to talk about. Now the first blush that I'm going to be talking about is also from Kaleidos, and this was discontinued. I did get this in PR along with the contour palette too. But this is a super old blush. This is one of their lo-fi blush duos, and this is in Lo-Fi Peach, and I have hit pan in the matte side. I love this blush duo so much. Like, honestly, I love layering the matte side with the shimmery side. The matte side isn't as pigmented as I would personally like it to be. I mean, I love a super pigmented blush, like kind of obscene, like borderline eyeshadow pigment. But this is really nice and buildable, and it's a bit more firmly pressed, so it did take me like longer to hit pan on it. As you can see, the pan is so tiny, and I've had this for years. I want Kaleidos to re-release like these blush duos. I know they have single blushes, and while I do really want to try a couple of those shades, I just love blush duos, man, especially having like a shimmery like duochrome shade with the matte. Like, they need to re-release these. Like, I am begging them. And especially with an updated formula, because this formula is already really nice, but if they just like added even more pigment to it and all of that stuff, and in their new like cool packaging, like, it would just be so awesome. I am waiting for them to bring blush duos back. Maybe they will. Not too sure. They brought back the contour trios, so maybe they'll bring back the blush duos. Now the next blush we have to mention, this blush is still one of my favourite blushes in my collection. Like, I'm wearing it today, and I'm reminded why I love it so much, and it looks so destroyed. I am actually a goblin when it comes to my makeup, but it's the Lethal blush in the shade Nectar. This is one of their matte blushes. As you can see, I like had my own trio that I created, but this blush, man, I didn't use it for quite a long time because I went through a phase when I got this blush. Literally for like an entire year, I was like only wearing this blush. And this formula is really powdery, really silky smooth, and so pigmented. It is my favourite like matte blush formula ever. I think tied with Patrick Tar, like this blush formula is just fantastic, man. And yeah, I would use this all the time, and I had to force myself to use other things because nothing in my collection was getting used. So I did like take a long break from this one, but today I was like, no, we're gonna film this video, we're gonna use you today. And bloody hell, I'm so happy that I don't know why I'm going Wales. I keep doing this really bad Welsh accent. It's not even Wales. Bloody hell, honestly, I am reminded why this is my favourite blush in my collection, like one of my favourites, because, look, I just feel so pretty and cute, and just the tone of this is so perfect. I know Lethal came out with shimmery versions of these blushes, and honestly, I'm tempted to get another couple blushes from them, but like in these more like neutrally shades, because while I do love the orange and the yellow, like they are brilliant blushes, I want more of this kind of tone. Like I know they have like a peachier shade too, but yeah, Lethal Nectar is a forever favourite. I love her so much. And yeah, you do have to be careful because the pans are quite fragile. They're very, very soft, but I love it. I love it very much. Alright, a couple of highlighters, and these are both from Kaleidos, and I mean, I'm a little bit predictable when it comes to highlights that I like. Now, I've mentioned in my last video how I haven't really been wearing that much highlighter, but anytime I have been wearing highlight, it's either been like my iridescent shadows, Colourpop Moon Peach Super Shock highlight, or these two. Okay, let me hold them up a bit easier. So this one right here is Skywalker, and this one right here is Moon Cruiser. As you can see, they are both more bluey purple highlights. Skywalker is a lot more like blue, and Moon Cruiser is more like purple and cobalt, like duochrome sparkly. But as you can see, I love these very much. I am wearing Moon Cruiser on my cheeks today, and I am reminded why these highlights are just incredible. Like, I need to actively use my highlights more because I've neglected them for so long, but like, look at Moon Cruiser on my cheeks, and it's on the tip of my nose. Like, ugh, stunning. I love blue-purple highlights. They just make me feel like a sparkly alien space fairy. It's just my thing. I love them very, very much. And the fact that I've hit pan on two highlighters that are very, very similar, I mean, it just shows. And to be fair, I don't think you really need both of these because they're so similar. If you want something more blue, go for Skywalker. If you want something a bit more purple leaning, go for Moon Cruiser. But they are very similar. They're very similar, but as a person that is quite a goblin when it comes to anything blue-purple highlight-wise, I mean, I could use them both enough to warrant having both. Alright, I have one eyeliner that I have to mention, and this is from Suva. Now, this one is so beat up, like the lid is so stained, like it's a white one. It's in the shade Space Panda, and I've used this today so it is still slightly wet, and as you can see, it's cavernous in there. These wet liners are huge, like they are 10 grams each, and the fact that I have like kind of focused in this area and gone all the way to the bottom, and I'm just like expanding on this little like mountain right here, like it's very satisfying to me. I use this a lot when it comes to like mixing things, making things lighter. A lot of the time when I do graphic liner looks, I always have a white incorporated in it, especially when I'm doing something like I did today, where I was doing like sparkles. I like to add like little white dots. I don't know if you can really see it on camera, to be fair. But this is my most used wet liner, and honestly, if you are getting into like using wet liners, I highly recommend that just get a white, like a big size of a white, because you will use a lot of it. Okay, we're moving on to singles now. So I have one single that's in like a pot, and then the other ones are just single pans. So the pot one I have to mention is this one from Colourpop, and this is the shade Frog, one of their Super Shock shadows, and oh, This shade is just gorgeous. It's one of their ultra glitter formulas, and this is just such a beautiful, like, sheer pink, purple, blue, silver sparkly shade. It's kind of like a more, like, pink version of Ritz, if you're familiar with that one, and I just love using this as like a topper towards, like, for other makeup looks, and because it's that squishy putty formula, it's just so easy to layer on top of other eyeshadows. I love the Colourpop Super Shock formula. Like, I can't believe it took me so many years to try them, and I'm hoping I can find, I think Beauty Bay have their own versions of these Super Shocks, so I'm hoping that Beauty Bay has a similar shade to Frog, because I can see myself finishing this. I feel like maybe this video is kind of like an unofficial project pan, because I just want to see, like, these pans expand. Maybe I'll do an updated video of this, like, towards, like, the middle of 2023. I don't know when this video is going up, actually. Is this going up in 2022 or 2023? Anyways, let's talk about single shadows in the pan. Now, I went through my entire single shadow collection, and I picked out all the shadows that have pan, and, there's a theme. There's a very, very, very obvious theme, and they are all iridescent. I am a self-proclaimed iridescent slag. I love iridescents. I use them in every single makeup look that I do. Every single look. Every single one. They're so universal. You can use them for your inner corner, you can use them to top off other eyeshadows, you can use them as face highlight. Literally, they are so universal, like, why wouldn't I be obsessed with them? And these are some of my favorite iridescents. So, how am I going to talk about this? So these three right here are from Terra Moons, this one is from Glamshop, and then these are all from Divina, their Sugar Drops collection. I was a big stan of the Divina Sugar Drops collection when I first tried them, and I still really, really like them, but I would say that my favourite iridescent shadows are from Terra Moons. Like, they're just so stunning. And I'm going to show you the shadows up close and personal and with the names. So this first shadow is Cavity from Divina. It is a lovely, like, purpley pink iridescent. Next we have Puffles from Divina. It is a blue iridescent. And that name just reminds me of Club Penguin. You know the Puffles, the pets that you can have? Love them little boys. Probably my favourite Divina sugar drop. This is Shuggies, and it is a green iridescent. Oh, I love this one. Another classic Skye favourite, this is Yum Licks. It's a gold pink iridescent. And finally we have Cake Bomb, and this is like a more green toned blue iridescent. More of like a aqua iridescent. Alright, let's talk about the one Glamshop shadow that I have a pan in, and this is from their, I believe it's from their Pearlized range, I believe. And this is, now I'm gonna pronounce it in Polish. My Polish pronunciation is not good, so I'm very sorry to my Polish followers, but this is Pilkie Żytowi, and that means Moondust, I believe. And this is like a pinky blue purple iridescent. It's my favourite kind of iridescent. I'm actually wearing this on my inner corners today. I bloody love this one. Now let's get on into the Terra Moons eyeshadows. So I have three Terra Moons eyeshadows that have pan, and I know that I will hit pan on all my other ones. The first one right here is Light Year, and this is a pan that I only got very, very recently. This is a gold, green, and blue multichrome. The Terra Moons iridescents are iridescent multichromes, which makes me love them even more, because not only are they sparkly, but they are so shifty and magical. I'm a big whore for shift. The next one is Red Giant, and this is a red-pink iridescent. A classic. I love this one very much, especially around like Halloween and Christmas. That's when I use it the most, because it complements the most looks then. And the final shadow that I have to talk about is another classic. I feel like the three Terra Moons shadows I've hit pan in are all like classic Terra Moons. This is Zero Gravity, and this is a beautiful like purple iridescent. And the cool thing about Zero Gravity and Red Giant is that the fact that they don't really have a base colour to them, like at all. Their base is basically invisible, and they are just like, Zero Gravity looks like a UV light on your face. It is truly like insane. I truly believe that if you don't have any iridescence, then I think that these kind of shadows, like these tones, are a good place to start. You kind of have all your bases covered pretty much, but I do highly recommend, like, if you don't have any iridescence, get shadows that are similar to Zero Gravity and Red Giant. Like, those shades specifically are just so unique and awesome, because you don't find those ones in palettes often. And finally, we are moving on to eyeshadow palettes. Now, I only have 3 eyeshadow palettes that have pans in them, and again, there's a theme. So let's start off with this boy. This is the Sugar Pill Fun Size palette. Oh, my beloved. I love this palette so much. It's been a favourite for years, and as we can see, I've hit pan, baby pan, in this shade right here called Twitch. This is a very light pastel green, and it's one of the most unique shades of green that I have in my collection. I don't have anything quite like it. The thing is that this eyeshadow formula, if you own the Sugar Pill Fun Size, like the original palette specifically, these eyeshadows are quite firmly pressed. Like, they're not super firmly pressed where they're like rock solid, but I don't think I've ever seen anybody hit pan in this palette. And the fact that I've finally got a pan after this being like my most used palette, it's kind of mad that it took me this long. Yes, this is my go-to little rainbow palette when I want like bright pastel-y colourful shadows, and I love it so much. We don't need to hear me talk about it for longer. I can see myself hitting pan in Player 1 and 8-bit. Like, I feel like these 2 shades are going to be the shades that I hit pan in next. One day, this palette will have, like, all pans in it. I would like that, but I don't want to put this in a project pan because I feel like this is probably one of the worst palettes to put in a project pan. It'll be so disheartening. So we're sticking with the green theme, and we are moving on to the Odin's Eye Elva 2 palette. Oh, this palette, man, was such a favourite of mine for so long, and I haven't reached for it in a while, and I think I'll definitely put it in a Shop My Stash in the future. But are we surprised? The green shades I've hit pan on, Green Elves and Green Tea, or is it the other way around? No, it is Green Elves and Green Tea. This, like, shade, I want more shadows like this. It is a beautiful, like, light, grassy, minty green, and I don't know why, but this tone of green is just my favourite. Every time I wear it, I feel the most pretty and fairy-like, and yeah, it is beautiful. I love Odin's Eye's matte formula. It is fantastic, and I feel like they've kind of strayed away from this format and gone like a different route, and I really do want to try like some of their newer palettes. Like the Solmon palette looks absolutely stunning. I think it's called Solmon 2. It's a sequel. But I really like Odin's Eye's formula still. I still really enjoy them. While I wouldn't call this palette an absolute favourite still, I still really enjoy it, and especially for those greens. I honestly mostly keep this palette for those greens and like this like 9 pan right here, minus the pressed glitters. It's just so wonderful. I love Odin's Eye's formula, and their like colour stories are really awesome and unique. I definitely want to get the Solmon 2 palette. But I don't need any more eyeshadow. I have so much that I need to work through. I do not need more. And that's another thing that I love about talking about makeup that I've hit pan in. These are like products that I have like loved for a long time, and you can see how much I love them. It's great. Anyway, the final product we're going to be talking about is my beloved Geology Pilbara palette. This was sent in PR, and I fucking love this palette, man. And can we guess which shadow I've hit pan in this palette? Can we guess? Just have a guess. It's the iridescent. I am predictable. But this shade Starry Sky right here, it is a beautiful gold green sparkly iridescent shade. I love using this as a topper. I love using it how I love using all the other iridescents. These 2 shades have very big dips in them, same with this one. Like, this is such a beloved palette in my collection. It's one of my favourites. I love the matte formula in here. Starry Sky is absolutely gorgeous. Like, a lot of the time when I want to do a really simple look, I just use these 3 shades. Like this in the crease, that all over the lid and blended into the crease, and then that on the inner corner, and it just creates such a beautiful, simple, warm, like, toasty eye look. I love it. I love this palette so much. It's been a favourite of mine for like a year now, and it's still, like, I still actively reach for this over a lot of things. I am such a big fan of Geology. I think they are going to be releasing a new palette soon. They have sneak peeked on their Instagram, and I cannot wait to see what they come out with next, because they haven't had a release aside from Pilbara, and I want more. I want more from you! Anyways, that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Do let me know what are some products that you've hit pan in. I would really like to know. I'm nosy like that. If you'd like to see more makeup content from me, then you can follow me on my Instagram. It's beautyybyskye right here. I post all my looks there and I'm active on there every single day. If you'd like to support me further, I do have my own small business, Rain Cloud Candles Co. We are a small queer-owned business based in the UK and we make handmade candles and wax melts. The link to shop will be down below along with our social media if you'd like to support us. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I would love to have you here. And as always, stay safe, wash your hands, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.